Spawned in the darkest pits of the universe, the piratical Eldar are a curse upon all races of the galaxy. For untold thousands of years, they have preyed upon us, stealing forth from the shadows and dark places on their raids of terror and violence, massacring or capturing all whose paths they cross. That they are utterly evil and inhuman is without question. From High Lord Kuron, the Imperial Commander of Astherax. The DRUKHARI are black-hearted reavers, to whom the galaxy and all of its peoples are but cattle to be enslaved at will. These alien pirates strike hard and fast from the shadows of the webway, vanishing again before the foe can fight back. They are a twisted reflection of their craft-world kin. They dwell in the strange realm known as the Webway, inhabiting Komorag, a cyclopean interdimensional metropolis rightly feared as the Dark City. They feed on negative emotion, dedicating themselves to a non-stop war with the peoples of real space, in which they strive to inflict as much pain and misery as they possibly can. Forced through a dark quirk of fate to abandon the once potent psychic abilities of their Eldari ancestors, the DRUKHARI instead epitomize physical excellence. Their athleticism and speed are unmatched, except perhaps by their towering arrogance. Add to this their lethal arcane science, and the DRUKHARI are amongst the greatest of threats in an already deadly galaxy. 10,000 Terran years ago, amid the apocalyptic screams of a newborn god, the mighty Eldari Empire fell to ruin. Yet the architects of this catastrophe were spared the worst of its wrath, hidden deep within the bounds of the Webway. They lurk there still, a race of unrepentant monsters, damned to suffer an eternal thirst for the pain of others. The DRUKHARI have fallen from true grace in the most profound of ways. Their roots as a culture lie at the very height of ancient Eldari society, when theirs was perhaps the most highly advanced species in the Milky Way galaxy. The Eldari once boasted mastery over an interstellar civilization that was the greatest seen in the galaxy since that of the Old Ones. The various cultures of the Eldari that exist today in the 41st millennium are only shadows of the glory of that ancient Eldari empire. The true origins of those who now call themselves the DRUKHARI can be found in hidden enclaves amidst the atrocity and mayhem of the terrible time of the fall of the Eldari, the great cataclysm that nearly destroyed the entire Eldari species. It was an event so terrible that not only did it kill trillions of Eldari, but it breached the dimensional barrier between real space and the warp and gave birth to the chaos god Slaanesh. The ancient Eldari had perfected their science and technology to such an extent that they could remake planets and quench the light of the very stars at a whim. The need for labor or hard work in their society became nothing but a dim memory of a difficult past. The Eldari, arrogant in the belief that they were now the true masters of their destiny, spent more and more of their time in esoteric pursuits and entertainments intended to escape the ennui that set in over the course of their centuries-long lives of ease and comfort. Their mind and psyche is a thing of duality. it can experience zeniths of bliss and nadirs of suffering far more keenly than that of the other intelligent starfaring races of the galaxy, including mankind. They were capable of becoming just as irredeemably corrupt as they were of transcending their flaws and touching the divine. With so much power at their hands, the core worlds of their empire, once the height of civilization in the known universe, became centered solely on the pursuit of individual fulfillment and self-gratification. To understand the reasons for the fall, it is necessary to know something of the Eldari mind and soul. An Eldari's mind is incredibly complex. Their senses are extremely sharp, able to perceive incredible levels of detail. Their emotions can be so strong that a human's are merely pale shadows by comparison. They are extremely intelligent. Their thought processes are much faster than a human's. All of this means that an Eldari experiences the universe and all its sensations to a greatly heightened degree compared to a human. Similarly, an Eldari's soul is much brighter in the warp than those of what they call lesser sentients, like humans who do not possess such potent psychic abilities. The Eldari are able to affect the nether realm of the immaterial much more than most other intelligent peoples. Every Eldari is a latent psychic and has the ability to become a very powerful psyker with training. It is the psychic strength of the Eldari soul that was one of the primary causes of their downfall. Before the fall, during humanity's dark age of technology, the Eldari had an immense galaxy-spanning empire comprising thousands of worlds, and some claim that it was larger and more powerful than even the Imperium of Man at the height of its power. The Eldari lived in relative peace. Barbarian races such as the Orcs were kept at easily manageable numbers and never had the strength to threaten the might of the Eldari Empire. The humans were not yet virulently xenophobic and did not have a large interstellar domain, and the Tyranid hive fleets remained unknown. The Catan and Necrons, the ancient foes of the Eldari, had been defeated long before and still remained dormant in the midst of their great sleep. Life on the Eldari core worlds was idyllic, with fantastically sophisticated machines that took care of all the labor and manufacturing required to keep an advanced society functioning, leaving the Eldari free to indulge in other, more aesthetic pursuits. With all menial work taken care of for them, they became indolent and decadent. They began to explore more deeply the arts of pleasure, delving ever deeper into hedonism. This descent into decadence spanned Terran millennia. Tradition and order disintegrated as the Eldari pursued the limits of pleasure. Sects called pleasure cults were formed, dedicated to achieving the highest levels of hedonistic sensation. Their ceremonies and practices became ever more wild, eventually devolving to violence against one another and even the ritual sacrifice of their own kind. Some Eldari hated what their race had become and left their homeworlds for the unexplored and virgin maiden worlds, or left on the newly constructed craft worlds, leaving the pleasure cults to their madness.